Lewis. I'm instructional designer and multimedia manager, and I have the honor of introducing our next topic. So this is our student panel on making knowledge visible, and we'll be hearing from two SPS students that have recently completed study in the disability studies and disability services programs. As part of the programs, the students chose to create a capstone style ePortfolio. And just a quick word about ePortfolio, if this is something relatively new to you. So on one level, they're used as a kind of a record keeping website, meaning students can upload their artifacts to like a centralized location. But really the power comes when students are then interrogating their own learning in the company of their peers, their faculty, or an advisor, even friends and family, right? So this repository of work holds the potential for students to see how far they've come, how much better a writer they are, but others can see it as well. And it's portable. It's a website, right? It's an authentic representation of who the students are and what they've accomplished. So versus a transcript, a number on a piece of paper. So so this, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so at this level of ePortfolios are considered a high impact practice according to the AAC&U. So we're really excited about promoting deep learning through ePortfolios. Without further ado, I wanted to introduce our panelists. And so for this, first we have Ricky, and I think Ricky, if you want to turn your video on, I'm assuming you're in, and just say hi real quick, make sure we can hear you. Okay, great. Okay, great. And then we also have Jade. And
Hi everyone.
And yeah, great. So we'll get to these guys in just a second. So maybe I'll turn over. Let's see. So Ricky just completed a Bachelor of Arts in Disability Studies, and then Jade Powell recently completed a Master of Science in Disability Services in Higher Ed. So we'll hear from both panelists briefly, and then my colleague Karen. Karen, you're here.
Yes,
right?
I
You
am.
want to say, okay, Karen Gonzalez is part of our OFTA team, and then she'll ask a couple follow-up questions, and then we'll open up to Q&A for anyone that has a question. You can absolutely add your questions in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on that as well. So finally, let's open the, let's get started. So I'll turn it over, maybe perhaps Ricky, if you don't mind going first.
Sure.
And so you can share your portfolio with us if you have that up. If not, we can do it.
Yeah, let's double check that I got this thing figured out correctly.
Okay. And so she'll talk a bit about her portfolio, maybe highlight a page, tell us how it impacted her, what does it mean to her, and then we'll switch it over to Jade.
All right, I have to figure out how to do the share screen here.
There's a green button at the bottom of your screen that says share screen.
Got it, okay.
And then if you click that, then you can pick the screen you want to share.
Okay, there it is. All right, so again, I'm Ricky, Enriqueta Muñoz, as you can see here on my portfolio. Let's see, and I was really happy to complete my program with SPS. It was a learning process for me, and I chose to do the online portfolio only because with every class that I had done, most of them were written assignments. So I decided to do something different and challenge myself by doing the online portfolio instead. And it was an entire learning process for me because as someone that is a blue-collar teacher working in daycare for 15 years in screen-free environments, I had to really push myself and teach myself how to do everything from scratch. So hopefully this portfolio gives you a good sense of how far I've come along during my entire coursework at SPS.
Cool, awesome. Let's see, could we switch it over to Jade real quick? Jade, do you want to?
Hi, how's everybody doing today?
Yeah, we're doing great. Jade, do you want to share your screen with us and take a look? Okay.
It says you cannot start screen sharing.
Oh, okay, yeah, so we'll stop the screen sharing over here. And then, yeah, now you should be able to do it. Sorry about that.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, hi. So this is my ePortfolio. I was in the disability service. really amazing. I have to say from beginning to end. In the beginning, initially, I was very nervous, but as time went
Jade, sorry to interrupt. Can you maybe get a little closer to your mic? We do have a little trouble hearing you.
okay, hi, can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah.
It is a little faint.
Hi, hello,
Yeah.
hello.
It's hard to hear you, Jade. I wonder,
Can you hear me?
we can barely hear you.
Hello.
You're getting a little better.
Hi, can you hear me now?
A little better, yep.
A little better.
Hi, you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
excellent.
Okay, good. So this ePortfolio was really therapeutic thing for me to do. I was able to really look at everything that I've done in this master's program. So I really enjoyed doing the ePortfolio. It allowed me to be creative and it allowed me to really dig deeper into what I've actually done in this master's program.
Cool. So why don't we go ahead, Karen, and Karen, why don't you take over now, and we have a couple questions we prepared, and then we'll open it up to the
Yeah.
floor for everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. So welcome everyone again. My name is Karen and I'm the ePortfolio program assistant and part of Matt's team over at Oftit. And so for our panelists, we do have one or two questions. The first is, what was your initial reaction to creating an ePortfolio? And how has this initial reaction changed over time?
Okay, should I go first or would you like Jade to go first?
No, go ahead, Ricky.
Sure,
I think for me, I'm sorry, could you repeat it again?
sure. So what was your initial reaction to creating the ePortfolio and how has this reaction changed over time?
Okay, so when Professor Brooks in my 499 class had proposed the idea of leaving it open to creating any type of work that you would like to do, I figured for the most part, the choices were to do a research paper or to do the education portfolio. And I felt that with every course that I had done previous to this one, they were all writing based. So I wanted to do something different, as I mentioned. And it was really pushing myself and teaching myself some new skills and approaching it and just viewing other classmates or even people just online on other colleges. It was a bit overwhelming and I was really nervous about it just because one, I didn't know what I was doing, and two, just to see the amount of work people had put into theirs, I didn't think I'd ever be able to do it. But being able to really sit down and break it down with a weekly schedule of tasks that I would do really helped me with processing how to do it properly so that I could make smaller mini goals for myself to put it all together into one cohesive portfolio. So for me, it was very therapeutic and organic to have something get produced out of just breaking it down, really putting myself in getting out of my own headspace and just editing everything, formatting it, and making it look like it was something a bit more presentable than what I originally set off to do in the beginning.
Great. And how about for you, Jade? What were your initial reactions to creating the ePortfolio? And if in fact, did they change over time? Jade?
I think she might be having some audio problems again.
Sure. Yeah, that can definitely be the case. Let's see. And so maybe then let's ask, what aspects of ePortfolio did you find most difficult, if any?
Yeah, oh, there was a few. Yeah, definitely. Well, in general, again, approaching it going, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. What should I put in? What should I take out? And really, even with the guideline, I had to sit down and think for myself. I'm going to make a guideline and a little schedule on a calendar. I'm going to break it down and let's see how many classes I've taken. I have to go through every week. I went through each class to find one or two writing samples that I thought would best illustrate my understanding of the course, writing the reflection for it, and things like that. So that was pretty difficult for me. And again, just the general formatting. Personally, I had some issues going on as well, but thankfully, I was able to reach out to Professor Brooks and ask for tech help and just emotional support for me during this time. So being able to really pull myself together to focus on making this portfolio during the semester was really helpful. And I'm glad that I was able to do it. And hopefully, everyone else can enjoy it as well. But yeah, there were some difficulties as far as trying to find resources on how to put it together, because Digication has some light samples, but I really had to teach myself using feedback from other websites or even YouTube.
Great, great. Jade, are you here with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, but it's very, very little.
It's faint, and we can just barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. So we were asking, what aspects of ePortfolio did you find most difficult?
I think it was actually putting all my content onto the ePortfolio and what I actually wanted to share, because sometimes you want to share everything, but at the same time, I didn't want to put absolutely everything, but I wanted to put the things that I felt were extremely important. I wanted people to grasp what I was able to grasp from the classes that I took in my 2.5 years here at SPS. So I wanted it to be user friendly. At the same time, I wanted people to understand exactly what I was learning and be able to capture certain moments where I was like, okay, I really enjoyed this class. I enjoyed all my classes, but I wanted that to be shared amongst everybody who would look at the ePortfolio. And especially if my past professors were to look at it, they could say, okay, she really got the important aspects of this course.
Perfect. And when building the academic work, so both of you had an academic section where you sort of documented your experience in each course. What did you discover when you were building that section? And did you find meaningful connections in doing so?
I think for me, as far as going over all of my academic classes, it was more so that, oh my goodness, I have so much work to go through and really narrow down which one would best reflect my understanding of each course. So trying to just narrow that down. Once I picked an assignment, I had to make sure that it was edited enough and fine-tuned enough from the previous feedback I had gotten from those professors on those assignments to make sure that they made sense. And then just putting that together, I think, was really helpful for me. And just going through the entire coursework and putting that one particular section of academic work, I had to sit back and reflect and go, wow, I really did learn a lot and did a lot of work, and I'm really proud of myself.
And I know for you, Ricky, you actually built this section in a specific way, right? So you made, can you talk us through briefly about what this page, how you built this page in terms of context and layout and things like that?
Right. So when I was viewing the other portfolios of classmates within SPS and outside of SPS and seeing their samples, a lot of them also had writing assignments, and they had posted the full writing assignment for each course. And I'm a person that likes to keep it short and sweet. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to provide the links so people can choose if they want to read through all those or view the PowerPoints that I had. And in doing that, it made it so that it was simple and short and sweet and to the point for me, with just, here's a summary of the class, here's what I learned from it, here's the assignment that I did related to that, and done. And I did that for every single class.
Sure. And it's a different take, right? So you give the synopsis of what happened in each course, but then you sort of link out to sort of validate that reflection. I love that.
Thank
How
you.
about for you, Jade?
I think the classes was the hardest part for me because you, like I said, you want to share everything, but I wanted to limit everything that I shared. I wanted to get to the meat of what I learned. And, I had so many different assignments that I had to do that I did want to share, but I said, okay, let me not share everything, but let me share what really caught my eye or what I felt was super important that I wanted others to get out of it. So for me, I think that was the hardest part of my ePortfolio, is actually getting all the academic work in, because now I had to go back to my first semester in SPS to see exactly what I wanted to share from each class. So I kind of had to go back into time and look into the work that I've done and what I wanted to present. And in the same time, I was able to really collect what I have done. And I was able to say, okay, I remember learning this, I remember learning that. And in doing that, I was able to see how all my courses really kind of intertwine with each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I appreciated that aspect of doing the academic work, although I felt like that was the most to me, but it was the most important. And I was very, very hard on myself in regards to how I wanted it to be presented.
Cool. Karen, should we turn it over to our participants to ask questions? Uh-oh.
Yeah, should we be texting
I
it or
think Karen
typing in
said
the
that
chat
she's,
box?
Having difficulties.
Okay, I was wondering why she wasn't moving. Okay, so I can take over until Karen comes back. Glad we have a backup to our moderator. But thanks, guys, Ricky and Jade. Yeah, and so we have some more questions we can ask, but does anyone in our group have questions? Is there any in the chat? I haven't really been keeping a close eye on that.
Yeah, should we be responding to everyone or in these private chats? I'm not sure if we should be answering these questions.
Oh, yeah. What if you just want to repeat the question and
Let's see.
I'm in the.
There's one from Roosman that says, how long was creating portfolio assignment? Like, was it a semester long assignment or only towards the end? It was broken down to however we wanted to break it down. So since we had to reflect on every course that we were doing, you kind of have to create your own schedule of how you wanted to put together everything, how you wanted to edit it. So we were given our own free will to decide, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on during this week, as long as we let the professor know, yes, every week I'm working on one piece, here's what I did, and then we just put it together throughout the semester in smaller chunks.
I was the same. It was pretty much all semester long. We had different breaks in between the semesters where we did have peer review, where one of our classmates did review our ePortfolio and gave us feedback, which I found that to be really, really great, because there were certain things they were able to see that I didn't see. So I enjoyed that aspect, and I like that it was for the whole semester. I didn't have to do it like between the end of August to October. Like, I really was able to flesh out everything of how I felt, what I was thinking for the whole semester.
Yeah, I'm trying to review the
another
chat.
question here that says.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, I was just jumping in for Karen. Now that you've both graduated, there's a question from Angela Francis, sorry. Now that you've both graduated, congratulations. Do you plan to use your portfolios for anything?
For myself.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
For myself, I've been using it to network with other people in general, regardless of whether it's people that are in the disability studies realm or elsewhere. It's been a good networking tool for me, and I've also used it to apply for jobs.
Me the same as well. I've used it to show my students certain things they could take on, although they're at a two-year school, how they could be innovative and how they present their work if given that opportunity. I've showed it to coworkers. I've showed it to my supervisors. So I've been able to show it to a couple of people who was actually able to see exactly what I did my last semester. Even some of my peers who are currently in graduate school as well, I showed them, my ePortfolio as my capstone, and they were really like, wow, this is amazing. I hope we get to do something like this when we finish our graduate program.
There was a question, I think maybe we've already talked about it, but Ed was asking, and then there was some, and it's great that we have Mariette here too to help us with this, to fill in some of the information, the AD for the program. But beyond the guidance by your professor, what kind of additional guidance did you need in terms of support for creating a portfolio? So Jade, do you want to go first on that one?
Sure. I had guidance from my classmates. Like I mentioned before, I had a peer review from somebody in my class, and she was able to give me feedback. And I even asked for feedback from like my supervisor, who was in the disability services major as well for a short time before she went to switch over to get her PhD. I asked for her feedback. I just want a different set of eyes to see it, so that way I knew what I needed to change, if there was something I needed to change, how it could make things better. Because me looking at this every day, all day, I'm thinking, okay, is it okay? Is it good enough? So I wanted to have different eyes on my ePortfolio, so that way it helped me shape it into a better ePortfolio.
Great. Ricky, do you have anything to add?
No, I think for me it was the same as well. Just I had to, like I said, I had to teach myself by looking up additional info because beyond what Professor Brooks was able to send me, I still needed some help. And I still, as someone that has never done any of this and have never really sat down and done any work on a computer, I really had to teach myself how to use all these programs, how to format everything. So being able to look for tutorials online is what really helped me. Some of them weren't really provided and they weren't thorough enough to help me with what I was trying to execute when putting it together. So being able to just find other resources and share it with some of my peers during our peer feedback discussion boards was really helpful, because I found that they also needed that kind of support and weren't sure where to find it. So I would send them the links and say, hey guys, here's how you add a video, here's how you format it so that you can add a link for downloading of your papers and such.
And ladies, we have one last question from Karen Koizel, who's a nursing faculty. She said, thanks for this presentation. Was the ePortfolio required? Because in nursing, ePortfolios are used to demonstrate signature assignments throughout the program. So how was your take on the ePortfolio in the capstone course?
ePortfolio is not required. It was an option. So you could have done, with our professor, Professor Brooks, she gave us the option of doing either a research paper. I believe she gave us other options too. She was pretty flexible with making it super creative and having it something that reflects yourself. So you could have done like a dance performance, a video, a PowerPoint, whatever we chose to do. Because again, I wanted to do something that was organic and online for everyone to view at any given time, I decided I'm going to do a visual presentation by making it a Digication portfolio.
And how about you, Jade?
Yeah, it wasn't a requirement for us either. You either could do, like Ricky mentioned, a paper or an internship. I like the ePortfolio because I had looked at them in the past and I thought they were really creative, and I thought it was a really nice way to do like my final thing at CUNY SPS for my final class. So I chose the ePortfolio because I felt I could be more, I could be different. I could be do different things with it. I didn't want to do a general paper. I felt like I did so many papers. I wanted to step out of that zone. And with me working full time and being in school, I really didn't have time for an internship. So I felt like the ePortfolio allowed me to be creative and allowed me to really show what I've learned in the disability service and higher education program.
Okay, and Matt, do we have a time for one last quick question?
I think we have about 4 minutes left. So yeah, I think we have time for another question.
I would say, what role did your instructor play in this experience, right? So I know that you worked a lot independently on your ePortfolios, but how did you connect with your instructor, and maybe what happened in that relationship, right?
Well, I connected with my instructor via Skype. She would look over my ePortfolio and give me feedback in regards to how I was doing, what I could add more. And I really appreciated that because it helped me really gauge exactly what I needed to put in my ePortfolio. So we would have Skype meetings as often as I wanted to have them. She said if we want to do it every week, we could do it every week. It was pretty much up to me. And so we had them quite frequently. And it really helped me realize how I wanted my ePortfolio to look at the information that really should be in there. for others to see.
Great, thanks. And how about for you, Ricky?
For me, it was great because I was able to check in with the professor weekly. So every week with the schedule that I had created for myself as far as which assignments I wanted to work on week by week, I would sit down, do those. And she also created it so that it was open-ended, so that if you had any questions or just wanted to chat about anything, we could email her what our thoughts were. So for me, it was pretty much a template of here's what I did for the week, here's where I'm struggling, here's where I think I did okay, what do you think? And it was more of a mutual combination of I'm checking in with you academically, and I was also going through some things emotionally and mentally, and being able to find that support both academically and otherwise was really great and helpful for me, because it really helped me feel like I can do this, I'm gonna be okay, and it worked out. So I'm very thankful to Professor Books. Thank you if you're here.
Awesome. I just wanted to mention real quick is that both of Jade and Ricky's portfolios I've been showing on my screen here are in the course for our faculty development course. We link them on the Digication page, and so you can see their links here, and they're open to anyone that has a Digication account. I think if you have an account, you can see it. So if you don't and you click on this link, you'll have one created for you, so it's automatic. We also had a third student that couldn't join us today. His name's Jason Ross, and his portfolio is here too. He's also a recent graduate of the Disability Studies master's program. So those are there if you guys want to check them out and look at their portfolios more. And I think we have about 2 minutes. Was there any final thoughts from Jade or Ricky before we move on? Or Karen?
No, I mean, it was such a pleasure to work with both Jade, Ricky, and Jason. Initially we wanted to make this a live presentation on campus, and I'm so glad that you both were able to attend the virtual space and just share, what your experience has been as a student, but more importantly, as someone who's in capstone in their final semester and building this website to really make it your own. So thank you to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say, Karen, you were amazing too, because you helped me on so many days. Because I wanted to pull my hair out some days because I just was so overwhelmed with absolutely everything that I had to put in here. And you helped make this process easier for me, because you gave me good feedback and you helped me with formatting, because that was not my thing, but we got it there. And I just want to say thank you for that, because it really helped.
Thank you, of course. And I know Jade and I actually spent a lot of Saturdays together early in the morning. So it was really a pleasure to have you, there and just kind of working through your ePortfolio. And again, with Ricky, Jason as well, I had the pleasure of working with one-on-one. So I'm actually glad this was your final product and the final piece of your semester. What great work.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. And just real quick, we have Karen and I have been supporting ePortfolios at SPS, and Karen has put together a fantastic student resource website with links to how to get in touch with her and with us. So if you're thinking about using portfolios, know that the Ofsted office is here to support your students as well as you as a faculty member. So we're here to help. And yeah, so with that said, it's 2 o'clock exactly. I'm looking at my clock there, and I'll hand it back over to Ruru. But one last round of applause for Ricky and Jade.